Welcome to the final video of this month's Pantry Challenge. Yes, I was participating in the 3 Rivers Pantry Challenge hosted by the amazing Jessica, and she does it for 2 months. I did it for 1 with the primary goal of cutting our grocery budget for our family of 6 in half and trying to keep it under $250. I knew I could keep it lower if I really wanted to, but my goal was to eat from our freezer and pantry, go through some of what I have stockpiled, as well as still shopping the sales. However, I'm going to tell you right now, there weren't a lot of sales. So I shopped only 4 times and my grand total for the whole month was $125 that I spent on groceries. I am feeling thrilled with that. We ate simply, we ate well, and let me give you a glimpse at some of those meals. Then we'll talk more about the budget. I'll show you how my freezers and pantries look now, as well as some lessons and my takeaways from this pantry challenge. But first, let me show you what we ate to finish out this challenge. Sunday morning, and the choices are simple things we've already cooked. We've got a little bit of pumpkin chocolate chip bread, we have our sheet cake blueberry pancakes, the ones that are mostly left, and then our regular Saturday morning pancakes for the kids to choose from before we get ready and out the door for church. I love having a timer on our stove. I did a pan of poppy seed chicken and set the timer on the stove, put some rice in the Instant Pot, so that would be done. And we are having poppy seed chicken and some frozen vegetables as soon as we walk in from church. This is our family's favorite recipe. I've talked about it before, but I did use my last bag of diced chicken from the freezer, so cleaning out the freezer, and the kids are happy because we have poppy seed chicken again. Hello everyone, it's the last week of the challenge. I filmed our breakfast and lunch yesterday, and then Andy actually took me out on a dinner date. We used some free sandwich coupons we had to a local barbecue place. It was really good. He had brisket, I had a smoked turkey, and then we just had to pay for our sides. So it was like $9 for us to eat out. It was amazing. And while we were here, the kids back at the house, Grandma came over, my husband's mom, and they had nachos, which is their Sunday night traditional dinner. Monday morning, we are at it. I have 3 kids in school, 1 who got sick during the night, so he's home. And we are starting by baking some more bread. So that's what I have going on behind me. I thought I'd show you that. The kids just ate exactly what they did yesterday. The girls had pumpkin bread for breakfast. Caleb had some of the blueberry sheet cake pancakes. He's loving those. And I actually took one of those homemade tortillas and just heated it up and rolled it up and ate it as a tortilla roll-up this morning when I got home as I'm drinking my sparkling water from Panera. I love my Panera Sip Club for how much money it saves me on sparkling water because I just get tired of drinking plain water. So this works for me. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. All right, let me show you the bread and how I do it because I've kind of tweaked this a little bit in the past couple months. My favorite recipe that I use now is the sandwich bread by Sally's Baking Addiction, but it's a 1 loaf recipe, so I like to make 2 loaves at once. Now lately I've done this just because it's easy, but I've started using my bread machine. And so I use the dough setting and I just mix up 1 batch in here. And then I actually don't let the first one rise in the machine. I'm gonna take it out, put it in a bowl, and let it rise in the oven while I get my second batch going and it'll rise in here. And I found them, they're both ready for the second rise at about the same time. So let me put this in the oven and then I'll show you what's in this homemade bread. All right, so it's a pretty basic recipe. It starts with melted butter, and I'm just gonna go ahead and pour these in. The interesting thing is I love to bake and cook, but my recipe videos, thanks to all of you who are watching these Pantry Challenge videos and have been this month because I'm not used to filming all of these things. And then it takes a cup. I love these angled measuring cups that I have. They're just so handy and it makes it easy to see. Now your water is supposed to be hot, and we get very hot temperature water from our sink. And then we do a 1/4 cup of milk, and I just started combining it so my milk warms up a little bit there. So we have that 1 cup water, 1/4 cup milk. We're gonna go ahead and pour that in here too. And then we have just the basics. Where's my tablespoon? I'll get another one. I always keep multiple sets of tablespoons. I don't know about you, because when I'm baking, I hate having to clean out tablespoons. So I always have that. So we actually use 1/2 tablespoon of salt, or 1½ teaspoons, for those of you who prefer to measure it that way. You can definitely double this recipe. She does have some directions about doubling it if you're doing batches at the same time. She adjusts the butter. 2 tablespoons of sugar going in there. So when I do it in the mixer, I double it right away, but this way has just worked for me. And then my yeast, it is just over 2 teaspoons. So again, I'm not exactly exact. I just kind of measured out. And then 3 1/4 cups flour. We're gonna go ahead and mix that in. We're gonna get our bread dough going and we'll let them rise on the dough setting here. And then we'll roll our bread and make some homemade bread today. And here's the homemade bread. I have tried a lot of other baking bread, so I did break bread before, and I have some good recipes, but this Sally's Baking Bread Addiction really is my favorite one. It's so easy to make. You could definitely finish it in your bread machine. I just like the crust that comes from when you are doing it baked regular in the oven. So even if you're not a bread baker, I would definitely recommend this recipe. Caleb is home from school. It is National Lutheran Schools Week. So today we were all wearing sportswear. So that's what he's wearing today. And he picked to finish off the last bit of hamburger with some chips. And then, yes, homemade yogurt and granola. A standard lunch for him. And then I am eating some of our homemade bread with my sparkling water. So I have a kid that's sick again. Thankfully, just that fever and lethargy that seems to be going around for our family. So last night we literally just ate baked potatoes for dinner. We ate baked potatoes, those of us who had any appetites, and some leftover poppy seed chicken. I seem to be in this last week slacking on some of our recording, but I will try to do better to finish out this month. Let me show you what I'm eating for breakfast. I am eating one of my homemade tortillas with an egg and some cheese on top and my sparkling water. Emma finished off some of the pumpkin bread, and the other two thankfully finished off a box of cereal each. So we finished off the Rice Krispies, to a lot of tears from Caleb, who also wanted Rice Krispies, and these fruit rings, generic Fruit Loops. So that's 2 more things out of the pantry. Caleb picked a hot dog. We are almost through with those freezer hot dogs, thanks to Caleb wanting them for lunch. I think he's our only kid who really likes hot dogs. And I am doing a taco on those homemade tortillas that I seem to be the only one eating. Tonight's dinner I'm kind of making up as I go along. I am cooking spaghetti for the kids, but then I'm doing this is a sausage from our freezer bake. I'm using up the zucchini I got on clearance. Fortunately, the squash, I went a little too long, whoops. So I'm using the zucchini, still a good deal. Found some peppers in the freezer, a little bit of tomato paste, an onion I chopped up, and then some cheese, and I thawed a jar of sauce. We're gonna just kind of saute this all together and mix some sauce into it. And then the kids can have spaghetti, which they will prefer more than this kind of veggie meat bake for my husband and I. Kids are going to do a little bit of deconstructed pasta here. So they have spaghetti noodles with butter or Parmesan cheese or sauce. They all pick different things. Apple, zucchini, sausage, and cottage cheese. And for Andy and I, we have our sausage veggie pasta bake. I might do a little bit of noodles. Andy's not a big fan of spaghetti, so we're gonna eat it like this tonight. And that's dinner using that clearance zucchini that I found, using up some sausage from the freezer and a couple of other little bags of odds and ends. And for dessert, we'll finish off the monster cookies we made over the weekend. The rest are already in the freezer for school lunches. This is such an easy cookie recipe, one of our favorites. We really love it. So that'll be dessert tonight. Wednesday morning, I've been up already writing a custom book for my Etsy shop. So I am fixing myself a scoop of my protein hot chocolate, and I'm gonna finish off the last raspberry sheet cake pancake today. Caleb asked for the last 2 blueberry sheet cake pancakes, and then the girls, I think, will probably finish off this pumpkin bread, or there are some of our regular pancakes in the freezer. We'll do some apple juice for the kids, and that will be breakfast this morning. Caleb ate a hot dog for lunch with a bun, and I am doing a taco again, going through those homemade tortillas I made last week. Okay, and let's be honest, if you haven't seen me talk about dessert, I'm probably snacking on a couple of these after every meal. These Brookside, the pomegranate. The Aldi knockoff's pretty good, but these are so good. So I love the dark chocolate and just hiding them, and you can grab a couple when you need it, when the day seems long, or if you just want a sweet treat after a meal. You'll probably find me eating some of those. We also decided to mix up a batch of Chex Mix. When we do Chex Mix in our family, we do a triple batch, which is 1 box of rice, corn, and wheat. We just eyeball it and I dump it into 3 containers. We use the standard whatever's on the box. So 6 tablespoons butter and 2 tablespoons Worcestershire. We have a teaspoon and a half seasoned salt. We do 3/4 of a teaspoon garlic and half a teaspoon onion powder. We make it a lot. You can tell I have it memorized. But my kids can't eat popcorn. They are doing a movie day at school tomorrow. So I wanted to mix up a batch of Chex Mix that I could send in for the older 2 in braces. We are going to cook this now, and then whatever we don't eat, I will go ahead and freeze, because Chex Mix freezes great, and it's super handy to have in the freezer for a snack when we need it. All right, dinner. Decided to make the classic stuffing here because I have a bunch of freezer bread I need to use up. This has used up 2 halfway finished bags. I got into the 3rd, but I still have 1 more. So I'm going to need to make croutons from the oven. I will do that probably tomorrow because I'm running out of time, it seems like. I had a bunch of celery. I used some of it in this other bag now will go in the freezer for next time I need it so it doesn't go bad. This is the Betty Crocker recipe. It's just the basic stuffing. I love this one. So you basically saute your onions and celery and butter with some sage and thyme, and then you stir in your bread. It's so simple. And then at the end, right now, because I am not stuffing it in anything, I do use some broth at the end. And I went the quick route, just used a bouillon cube and some water here just to finish kind of moistening the stuffing. Now I will say I love stuffing. My husband loves stuffing. The kids do not. So this will be for my husband and myself. The kids will eat leftover baked potatoes with dinner. So this is for dinner, and I have pork chops going in the oven to go with our baked potatoes and stuffing. Okay, so dinner tonight is some smoked pork chops cut up. The kids are eating leftover baked potatoes, and we have some homemade yogurt with frozen blueberries stirred in. Lily's eating hers on the side. Some kids are stirring them in, but we have frozen blueberries as our fruit. And my plate is a smoked pork chop from our half a hog we bought, as well as the Brussels sprouts I found on clearance and the stuffing. I love the stuffing. My family loves it. My siblings and parents, like, I'll make 4 batches at Thanksgiving just because we love it, but my kids do not. It'll be an acquired taste, hopefully when they're older. Just the classic simple stuffing, and it's a great way to use up breadcrumbs. This is dinner tonight. All right, we are nearing the end of this pantry challenge, and I still have half that 4-pound bag of strawberries here. We ate some of strawberry shortcake, and that was great. I had bought these for my sister and her kids when they were here, and they never ate them. We just really don't use them. So I'm going to go ahead and stick them in my food dehydrator. I just rinse them off to get the frost off, but I am going to load them up here in my London Sunshine food dehydrator. This is more professional one. I do really love it. I will leave a link below. I had a really cheap one, and this one, it actually does so much in here and so much faster, super quiet. So we're going to get this loaded. It is Thursday after dinner, and so tomorrow morning when I wake up, these strawberries should be ready, and I will show them to you. All right, they are in, and let me just show you. These were already sliced, so I didn't have to do anything. I just stuck them in here, and I filled 4 shelves. Put it on at 140 for 12 hours. It'd take 10 to 12, and we'll see how they look like in the morning. Good morning, Thursday morning here. I just mixed myself a mug of my Premier Protein hot chocolate. Well, the kids are eating breakfast. We've got some eating pancakes and some eating oatmeal. I'm going to pack lunches as I drink that. And yes, the bread is out from yesterday, those buns. We're going to tackle that and make croutons later today. I am home from taking the kids, and we're going to start my morning with a couple more kitchen projects. So these are the dehydrated strawberries. Then they ended up, I'm going to go ahead and peel those off and put them in a canning jar. And then we're going to make some croutons. All right, 2 pounds of strawberries, I would guess, and it fills a pint-sized canning jar, not even quite full. This was a little tricky to get off this time, I will say, just because some of the slices were so thin, but I really do like my London Sunshine food dehydrator. Links below. It just works really well, and it is efficient. I don't use it a ton. I'm trying to use it more. I don't know that my kids will love it as much, but we do have friends with a lot of allergies, and having dehydrated food when they come over for a snack is a special treat. So I might save those for them. I probably will, actually. But that is done, and the bag of strawberries is out of my freezer. On to croutons. All right, I am determined to use up all the old bread in my freezer. I think these were some of the 49-cent buns when they were at Kroger, and they just have gotten old and crumbly, but they're gonna make great croutons. So all you have to do is take your old bread, chop it up, toss it in some butter, and then we're gonna toast them in the oven at 350. Super simple. So we're just gonna go ahead and do it. And note with butter, this is why I always keep butter on hand. I just totaled up, this is my 8th box of butter that I have used this month. So yes, I go through a lot of butter. When you see me stock up, this is exactly why. All right, time to chop the bread. Okay, so there really is no science, it's more an art. These are just chopped up bread. So I did my hamburger buns, 4 slices each way, and then the hot dogs buns, I did 1 long slice down the skinny way and then just kind of chopped them up. And I melted a whole cup of butter, 2 sticks of butter. I'm gonna toss these in, get them as coated as I need to, and then we'll toss them in the oven at 350. All right, coated in butter. Can you just see, this is why I'm making croutons. See how much they're crumbling? I love storing bread in the freezer, and bread freezes great. However, especially on like a store-bought cheaper bread, it will deteriorate over time. So this was a great chance to go through it. I have now, between the stuffing last night and croutons today, used 5 bags of half-finished buns. So that feels so good to get that out of my freezer for the pantry challenge. While those are baking, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and slice up these peppers I got on clearance. So it was 99 cents for 2 of them. So basically 50 cents a piece, which is amazing. The yellow ones still look perfect. The orange ones are getting a little wrinkly on the outside, but they're still firm, feel great. So I'm gonna put them in slices and put them in a bag for the freezer for fajitas or next time I do a stir fry or just want some peppers. All right, now I have a full bag of peppers for the freezer. That just took a minute, and that was a great deal. Super excited about finding all those clearance deals on produce right now. So for breakfast, I'm just gonna eat some bacon and some of the peppers and drink my sparkling water right now since I already had the protein hot chocolate later. I'm sure I will snack on the croutons as those finish toasting. And croutons are done. So they really kept crumbling even as I did it. So I decided I was just gonna save those buttery toasted crumbs, and they're almost like a panko now. I'll put it on soups or something. I'll store it in the pantry or freezer to keep it fresh. And then croutons for salads, or my oldest son Nathan just loves snacking on them. So just stir them till they're nice and crispy, let them cool, store them in a jar, and you have delicious croutons. I do have a short video about making croutons with all the step-by-step and some directions, so I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. Dinner tonight is potluck, where we are finishing up all the leftovers. I try to do leftovers at least once a week, so we have tacos, frozen blueberries, a little bit of poppy seed chicken with some rice. We've got some baked potatoes cut up there and noodles, stuffing. I've got the cauliflower roasting in the oven, and we finished off the yogurt. We are just finishing things up, which is good to do. Makes for an easy night of cooking too. Ending with leftovers seemed like a good way to wrap up this video. Those were our menus. Let me show you what our menu was just as a quick overview for the whole month here. Here we go. I just keep our track of our menu on a simple calendar like this. So we started out, we have chili and cornbread, pasta, pork chops and baked potatoes, cheesy chicken, used a gift card to eat out there, enchilada casserole, tried a new recipe of Marry Me chicken and rice, used another gift card for pizza on basketball nights, and barbecued meatballs and baked potatoes. Yes, we love baked potatoes, eat them once a week. We host teachers, so those were the appetizers I cooked. Always do a leftover night as well for 1 day a week, at least, sometimes 2. Poppy seed chicken, which yes, that pops up regularly in our menus. Pasta, leftovers again, baked potatoes again. We had a basketball tournament that weekend, so it was kind of crazy, and we were eating at school or eating simply at home. Leftovers again, crock pot Mexican chicken there with baked potatoes, brisket that was already cooked in the freezer, burger patties from the freezer with some homemade amazing delicious fries, breakfast for dinner, sheet cake pancakes, tacos, poppy seed chicken again, baked potatoes, sausage and zucchini pasta bake, pork chops with homemade stuffing, which you just saw, and leftovers. That was our month of menus. With 4 little kids, simple is good for us, and this is just what works for our family. Want to see how my freezers look after this challenge in my pantry? Let me give you just a quick glance. My main pantry in the kitchen is pretty much just as stocked as it was at the beginning of the challenge because any gaps that I had, I was pulling from downstairs in my basement stockpile. If you want to see my whole stockpile, I will leave a link to that video. But these shelves look pretty good. My freezer is where I made the big dent this month. This is my freezer in the kitchen. As you can see, I actually have space in here of things that I can see. And what's interesting is these couple things right here on the sides, I actually have plans for them this weekend. So all of those things, that whipping cream, that some queso there, some meatballs, those are gonna be gone pretty soon. And the bottom are things we are regularly using. I have our pancakes that I bake and freeze every weekend, some bread, the homemade bread that I am using for sandwiches, cookies for school lunch, things like that. The shelves still look the same with some vegetables, but we are working through them. There's a couple red raspberries in there, but yes, did you notice the strawberries are all gone since I dehydrated them? And all that freezer bread, not in here anymore. Upright freezer inside the house here is getting a little more emptied out too. I still have lots of pumpkin puree. I've worked through almost all those blueberries. I decided I didn't have enough to can, so we're just gonna eat those that are left in the freezer. Still have more butter in the garage, but I'm using this up first because it's oldest, then we'll bring the other butter in. Here's my meat shelf that I did put a dent in, but we're still just working through that, whether it is the raw chicken in the front end bags, cooked hamburger, hamburger patties, or raw hamburger. That is typically the meat I have. I only have one new bag of buns right there. This is still our pork, all bacon, not worried about using that, as well as some breakfast sausage. We'll keep using that. And then the bottom shelf is just fries now and one pecan pie that was on sale for my husband. Our shelves over here, you can see just a little bit of meat. There's some of those peppers I just chopped up here recently from clearance. We'll use the store ones from Kroger first. A little more meat right there. And then some of our Chex Mix that I freeze and baked goods. We will use those when we need quick things for company, and soup that's ready to go. So this feels in pretty good shape. We definitely worked through it. I can easily see what we have, and we will keep using this and working through our freezer as we go forward. So how did the pantry challenge go overall? I'll say it went really well. I feel good about it. I feel like we really did use some of what we had. I didn't find any glaring gaps. I feel like we are pretty well stocked. Everything that I needed, I had on my shelves, which was great. Anything that I ran out of, it was pretty much dairy. It was milk, it was sour cream, and surprisingly chocolate chips. So, I'm doing a lot of baking. But I had my butter, I had plenty of cheese, I had lots of potatoes, I had frozen fruit and canned fruit. I had a lot of things on my shelf, which means I'm on the right track. I am thrilled with that. I told you that I spent $125 this month in 4 shopping trips to Kroger. It would have been less, but I stocked up on that last trip to Kroger, which you can see in last week's haul. The sales were too good to pass up, and I would rather spend some money on the sales to keep me from paying full price down the road. That's always been my strategy. And if you like shopping the sales and want to stock your kitchen on a budget, well, let's do it, because that's what I love to do, and that's what I am getting back to doing. Will I do a pantry challenge like this again? Possibly. Possibly I would do one because I liked going through my freezer and I liked the money that it saved. However, I will say filming our meals, as simple as they were for an entire month, it's a lot of work. So kudos to Jessica for still filming for a whole nother month with a baby, and to all the other amazing ladies out here who are doing it. It's a lot of work to remember filming it. And it's interesting because filming your meals, I've discovered, is very personal, and people love to critique. Most of you are just wonderfully supportive of what I'm sharing, but it seems like when you share meals, people love to chime in with their 2 cents about what you shouldn't be eating or how you should be doing this, and it's just a very different thing. So will I do it again? Possibly. Will I film it? I don't know, but you're welcome to weigh in and let me know your thoughts on how much you enjoyed it, if you want to see this again in the future, maybe once a year or not. I am just really excited to get back to all my sales shopping. With that savings, what am I going to do? Now, the goal of a pantry challenge is to not go out and spend all that money. But I did say I would spend up to $250 this month. So I'm going to take $100 and I'm going to do a stock up trip at Walmart again. I am often shopping the sales at Kroger, and I love the sales at Kroger, but there are some low price things that it's just easy to get at Walmart. I can stock up on quite a bit at once, and I know a lot of you guys have Walmarts who don't have access to a Kroger. So stay tuned, that is coming next week. You can see what I am buying with that $100 that I saved. It's gonna be great to kind of replenish some things in my stockpile again, and I'm excited to do that trip too. Thank you all for joining me on this challenge this month, whether you were doing one or not, whether you're doing a low spend challenge, whether you were not shopping at all, whether you were shopping like normal but were just curious and joined me here. Thank you for your support and joining me in this new challenge. Let me know your takeaways. What did you learn if you were doing one of these challenges, or as you were watching me, were there any tips you picked up, any strategies? Have you found some holes recently in your pantry, things you want to stock up on more as we go into the new year? As I am watching prices go up and seeing how much and it is impacting all of us, I am more and more convinced with every week that goes by how important it is to have a stockpile. And one of my goals for this coming year is to make sure that I am really taking advantage of the sales and the low price basics and stocking up. And I want to help you do the same. So thanks for joining me as I go forward. If you have any questions, of course, about this pantry challenge or anything else, let me know in the comments. And I will be back on Thursday with my normal sales grocery hauls. Maybe I'll be shopping at Kroger. Okay, I'll probably be shopping at Kroger. Maybe I'll be shopping somewhere else. I do have some Sam's deals to show you. That is true, because I was just filming all the Sam's deals for the month of February, and there's some good ones. So if you want to check out those sales, go ahead and check out that video next. And I will see you back here on Thursday.